Good evening. Welcome once again to Barclays Center for the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament. Just a reminder that media seating for the night session will be different than the day session, so be sure to check the seating charts around the building for your seating assignment for the evening session. Also a reminder, please silence all cell phones. There's no flash photography, and there's no video recording devices, handhelds, minicams, phones, or camera phones. If you need satellite information, the gentleman to my left in the back of the room in Hammond can give you those instructions. A reminder, Temple will be in the press conference first, followed by Iowa. They'll have student athletes and their head coaches. Format will go with opening statement from the head coach, followed by questions for the student athletes only. If you have a question for a student athlete or a coach, please raise your hand. We have 2 mic stewards, and they will get you a wireless mic. Please introduce yourself with your name and affiliation. As you can see, Temple is bringing head coach Fran Dunphy, Jalen Bond, and Quentin DeCozy. Temple is on their way now to the press conference. That means their locker room is open for the next 30 minutes. Once again, we're joined by Temple head coach Fran Dunphy, Jalen Bond, and Quentin DeCozy. Coach, can you please start with an opening statement?
A tremendous opportunity for us to be in a game like that, and for these two guys to finish their college basketball careers in a great game. Both of them stepped up and played outstanding basketball, and I was proud of our guys for the non-quit factor in us. Obviously, I'm disappointed we're not going to have a chance to play on Sunday, but again, very proud of our guys, and give credit to Iowa for what they did.
At this time, we open it up for questions for the student athletes. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and we'll get a wireless mic to you. Over here in front, on the right. Right here, second row.
Coach, when you looked at the stat
Questions
sheet,
for the student athletes first, please.
Oh, sorry about that. When you guys think about being down by 10 points, midway through that second half, did you feel like there was something that you altered and changed that allowed you to come back and force that tie and force the overtime?
Jalen, can you start?
We just had to play harder, on defense. Just keep guys out the lane, just focus on our matchups.
Quentin?
Aside from that, I think we just stuck together. That was a major key, just bringing everybody together and staying together.
Over here, right. You're next.
Marcus Hayes, Daily News. Guys, there was a point, I think it was when you were down 10 in the second half. Fran called a timeout, and there was a possession that it was like a 2-minute possession where you guys got a couple of offensive rebounds, drew a couple of fouls. It seemed like that was a turning point. Do you remember that sequence, and did something in the timeout spur that sort of energy in you guys?
Jalen, you can start again.
Yeah, kind of like what Q said, just staying together, in that timeout. We knew that we had to pick up our intensity on both ends of the court if we wanted to, stay in the game. That's what we did.
Quentin?
Yeah, like Jalen said, we just stuck together like we did all year when we got down, and we did it again today. So that was a major key.
Right here.
Bob Brookover, Philadelphia Inquirer. Guys, how will you feel about this as a way going out? Your coach talked about, you played great games going out. What are your emotions as you go through this, such a tough loss?
Jalen, start again.
It's hard. Anytime you lose, it's hard.
Over here, front on the left.
Michael's on WHIP Radio. This question's for Quentin DeCozy. You guys are down 3 inside the final 5 seconds. You throw up a shot, you get fouled, you have 3 shots. What's going through your mind at that point?
The only thing I was thinking was just let me take my time, make the first one, then make the second one, then make the last one, and just hold my follow through.
Third row, back there.
Jeremy Schneider, Star Ledger. Guys, final play, pretty crazy, wild heave, and then some shoving. What did you guys see on the final play, and do you think a foul should have been called?
Let's start with Jalen again.
They just beat us to the ball. They were able to get an offensive rebound in the tip-in and then won the game.
Basically what Jalen said, everybody was scrapping. They just beat us to the ball. So.
Over here on the right.
Tracy Yatsko from Al Sports Update. Guys, can you reflect back on your time at Temple, what you learned from each other and what you learned from your coach?
Jalen, start.
It's been a great experience, transferring after 2 years at Texas. Just being part of this program meant a lot for me and my family, and I wouldn't change anything.
Quentin.
Just not taking anything for granted. Always think about others. Don't think about yourself, and that's it.
We have time for one more for the players. Roger, over here on the right.
I'm going to cheat and ask one to each of you. Jalen, when Quentin picked up his 3rd foul and came out of the game, that was sort of the moment during the second half when Iowa tried to get some distance and got a little bit. But when he came back in, that's when you guys caught up. What does having him on the floor do for the rest of the players who are on the team?
It does a lot. Q's our best scorer, our best offensive player. So whenever we don't have him on the court, it's tough. So we just try to maintain, just try to stay close within the game and just wait for him to get back in.
And Quentin, while you were on the floor, while you were on the bench, and there was a gap that was opening up, what was your feeling about getting back into the game and the chances of Temple catching back up?
When I got back in, I just wanted to do whatever I could to help my team get back in the game and give us the best chance at winning the game.
At this time, we're going to dismiss the student athletes. Thanks for your time, Jalen and Quentin. And we'll open up for questions for Coach Dunphy. Over here on the right, in the back.
Greg Frank, WHIP Radio. Frank, could you talk a little bit about the performance from Josh Brown today? Seemed like he really played well.
Repeat that question.
Josh Brown, the performance from him today. What did you see from him?
I thought he was fantastic on both ends of the court. He made two huge shots in the first half. One to get the score back a little bit. He made a big three, and then he made a big jumper at the end of the first half. That held us in great position for a long time. He's a really good player. His numbers today were awesome. He shot it well. He rebounded it well. 5-2 on the assisted turns, which is typical for him. And just a wonderful performance.
Over here on the left.
Zach Elb, WHIP Radio. Coach, do you think that was a push-off at the end?
I have no idea, Zach, to be honest with you. I certainly couldn't see it from where I was sitting. And, we'll watch it on the film, but the reality is it doesn't matter. They got the rebound and put it back in. Woodbury's a tough rebounding, offensive rebounding guy, and we got hurt by the offensive rebounds throughout.
Right in front. Second row right here first, and then over here.
Coach Howard Magdal, Vice Sports. When you look at the numbers at the end of the day, you guys have a 49-38 rebound edge. You held their best player to 7 for 21 shooting. They shot 25% from three. Was there any part of the game plan where you felt like it wasn't executed? Was there anything more just tactically that you think could have been done to change the way this came out?
Well, in the first half, I thought they had a stretch where they made every shot they took, and that put us in a little bit of a hole. So you're hoping that they're not going to continue to shoot it as well as they did, and they did not. Was some of that us? Yeah, I hope so. Was some of that them just maybe got out of a rhythm or whatever? But I thought our defense throughout was good. There were a couple of go-bys that we could not give up that they scored on. And obviously the offensive rebounds, I'm a little surprised that we had as many offensive rebounds as they did. It seemed like in that flurry, that was really the only time they offensive rebounded it great. But it certainly hurt us. It took a lot out of us. But I thought we were in pretty good shape as we made our both comebacks in the first half and the second half. And we had a 2-point lead, I think, in the overtime and turned it 2 times of the next 3, I believe. I'll have to take a look at it.
Robert, over here on the right.
Yeah, Bob Brook over Inquirer. Fred, they didn't have any turnovers, so about 2 minutes left in the game. If you'd heard that would happen, would you have thought you'd be in the game the way you were? I mean, that's one of your bread and butters too, obviously. But
yeah, we turned it, I think, 7 times in the first half, and I think we were 5 in the second half, and 2 of ours came late, which was in the overtime period, which hurt us. Yeah, typically we take better care of the ball than when we did today. We made a sort of an uphill pass for an easy layup for them early in that second half, which hurt us. It got them back out to 10 points. But if you had said that to me, I would have thought that we would have been in much worse shape.
Over here on the left.
Hi, Coach. Josh Adams, College Hoops Digest. After Quentin made the first 2 free throws at the end and Iowa called a timeout, did you say anything to him in the huddle, or was it like kind of a pitcher throwing a no-hitter, you just didn't want to kind of do anything at the time?
Well, we had to make sure that we set our defense, and we just talked about when Q makes this third shot, we're going to, make sure we keep everybody right in front of us and not give up a quick blow-by for a good look. And so that's all we talked about. That's what most coaches will do. When your teammate makes this, here's how we're going to handle it.
This young gentleman on the right.
Max Bonstetter, Sports Illustrated Kids. Coach, it was a heartbreaking loss, but your upperclassmen stepped up. How do you feel about them?
I feel great about them. Max is your name? Just like I feel great about you, Max, because you're a pretty cool guy.
Thank you.
The fact that you would ask that question the way you asked it, I love these guys. That's the problem. You love them like crazy, and now the seniors are gone, and we won't see much of them after this. They'll work at some of them trying to be professional basketball players. Some of them will be professional in some other way, and so it hurts, to be honest with you. And that's the part of the problem of this situation. It's now the abruptness of the ending is frightening, to be honest with you. But thank you for the question, Max.
Right behind.
Fran, Sean Pastor, Rouse Daily. On that last play in regulation, you had, at the time you were in the huddle, it was 0.8. They reset it to 1.3. I just wonder if you had the more time, would you maybe have looked to draw something up to throw it into the front court?
Well, we had obviously no timeout. We were if I had known there was what we talked about was if Devin Coleman, I think he was our best long. He's thrown in some interesting shots over his career. I was hoping that he could get something moving to his left where he would just get one bounce and then take like a 50-footer if we could get it that far. But yeah, we thought about that, but when they said 08 to 1.3, they didn't give us any time to make an adjustment there. And what we didn't want to do is throw it away and give them a chance for a quick look as well. So I thought Josh Brown did a really good job on giving that ball to Devin. I would rather he turned the other way and at least got it to his left side, but didn't happen.
Over here on the left.
Coach, Jesse Spector from Sporting News. Was there, on the last play in overtime, was there the defense that you had that you wanted there?
Where are you?
Right
here on the side.
Yeah. No, I mean, we just wanted to be solid, and I thought Josh Brown did a great job on Gasell and made him shoot a really difficult shot. And then obviously it's just it's a free for all at that point, hoping you're getting it and their guys aren't. And obviously Woodbury got it and stuck it back in. But I thought our defense was really good that last possession.
We have time for one more question over here on the right.
Ed Benkin, KYW Radio. Fran, as tough as the ending was, can you take some time in consoling your seniors and this team to talk about to them what they accomplished this season, getting back to the tournament after just missing last year and winning the conference this season too?
Well, we talked a little bit about it in our post-game comments. Obviously, I feel for the seniors. It's a tough game to go out on. No, every game is tough to go out on whenever you lose. Obviously, a buzzer beater is even more difficult. They're just wonderful guys, and they took good care of me in their time frame at Temple University. I was proud of a couple of different efforts. Quentin DeCozy making 3 foul shots. That's a tough chore, and he stepped up and did that. There was one other play that just kind of stands out is Josh Brown on an unbelievable block in transition that just said, I'm representing my team, we're not going to quit, and I'm going to give every ounce of effort I can. And so those two in particular stand out. But we had our chances, and again, credit to Iowa.
Thank you, Coach Dunphy.
Thanks.
The Temple locker room is open for another 15 minutes. We'll be joined shortly with players from Iowa, Peter Jacques, Jared Utoff, and Adam Woodbury, along with head coach Fran McCaffrey. This time we'd like to welcome our players and head coach of Iowa. Iowa is going to bypass their opening statement, and we're going to open up right to questions for the student athletes. If you have a question, please raise your hand and please direct the question to a specific student athlete. So we'll take questions for the student athletes at this time. Over here, Howie on the right.
Howard Magdal with Vice Sports. Jared, I'm just curious, your offense gets a lot of the attention, but in a game like this, do you feel like your defense is almost like a more significant factor in determining the game? And, how significant did that play a role in your mind in things like, playing that free safety role and, and getting steals at those critical moments?
Repeat the end of the question.
Sure, I'm sorry. Specifically, the playing of free safety, essentially, and getting those steals, jumping into passing lanes at those critical moments.
Defense is what wins championships. I mean, it's said so often. Our coaches, I appreciate. You gotta. Defense fuels your offense a lot of times. So that's really what gets you started, and that's what wins the game for you. So if you focus primarily on offense, you forget about defense, and bad things happen for you.
Over here on the right behind.
For Adam.
Questions for the student athletes, please.
Yes, for Adam.
Okay.
If you would just describe those last few seconds, what you were seeing, what you thought, your instincts when the ball was released, everything.
I mean, coach always tells me to get on the glass every possession, so I knew that if Mike got a good look at it, and if it was a little long, I was going to be able to get the offensive rebound. I was fortunate enough to put it in. Just one of those right place, right time kind of deals, and happy we got the win.
Any other questions for the Iowa student athletes? No? All right, gentlemen, you're free to go. Thank you. The Iowa locker room is open for approximately another 20 minutes. If you have questions for any other players, at this time, we'll open it up for questions for head coach Fran McCaffrey. Any questions for Coach McCaffrey? Over here, Howie.
Coach Howard Magdal, just in terms of what I was discussing with Jared, his defensive role on this team, do you feel like it is as critical, more critical than even the offense that he's provided for you, which has obviously been so significant all year?
It's very important. Obviously, when you have an all-league defensive player with that kind of length who can move his feet, we could put him on a variety of different people. Now, Temple's got various weapons, but we could put him on DeCozy, we could put him on Obi. There's a lot of different guys we could put him on. Or, like you said, we could just keep him out there, and he's a rebounder, he's a steal guy, he's a shot blocker. He just affects the game with his length, the defensive end of the floor, which, as he said, fuels our offense.
Roger on the right.
Roger Rubin from Newsday. Fran, in terms of when the lead is going away, I mean, you had a great start. When the lead is going away, given the fact that the last month hasn't been filled with a lot of success, are you concerned at all about a psychological component setting in on your guys?
No, unless I feel like, we're coming apart. We just played 45 minutes and had 3 turnovers. We executed down the stretch as well as we have at any point in time in the last 3 years. We couldn't get a shot to go down. Okay, so, if we're not coming apart at either end, and what I'm seeing is a group that's fighting, that understands what we're trying to do, then I'm fine. I don't jump to any conclusions or worry. Because if I'm worrying, then they're going to worry, and I don't want them to worry. And I thought they just kept battling. I was really proud of them. You look at the end of regulation, looked like we had it. We missed 2 back ends. We missed a number of shots. And, you don't think Anthony's going to foul, but he did. And, the kid still makes 3. So you got to give them credit. They're a team that, if you watch them, which we have, obviously, in the last 3 days, they come back. That's what they do. That's what Fran Dunphy's teams do. So you got to keep coming back yourselves, and that's why I'm so proud of our guys.
Any other questions for Coach? Over here on the right.
How tough is it to come back in the overtime after leading almost all of regulation, and particularly down the stretch?
I think the hardest thing, if you think about it, okay, we jumped them in overtime. Well, they came back again. and they took the lead again. I think that's really hard. And that's why I have so much respect for how we kept fighting. Because we didn't shoot it well in overtime. But we did enough, to win the game. And never felt like we were out of it. Never stopped battling defensively. Never stopped attacking the glass. Obviously, we tipped one in at the buzzer. And, it's a great feeling as a coach to see your team be that resilient.
Over here on the right.
Frank, can you talk about the intensity of this game? These two teams just went at one another with every single amount of energy. And you're a veteran coach. We saw Michigan State lose today. Just talk to us about how hard it is to win a basketball game in the NCAA tournament today.
Well, I mean, I think, you nailed it. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's really difficult. Okay, you're playing somebody that you haven't played on a neutral site. You're trying to figure them out in a short period of time. And, we have consistently watched them win close games, come back in the second half to win close games. So you just want to make sure that your team is ready to do the same. I thought when we lost the 12-point lead in the first half, our defense was not what it needed to be. That was about the only stretch where I could say, you know what, we didn't battle in that period of time the way we need to. Luckily, we were still up 1 at halftime. So, you see it every year. There's no such thing as an upset, and I mean that sincerely. I've had lower-seeded teams that won. You've seen higher-seeded teams lose. You have to be able to keep coming and understand that if anybody's going to advance, you're going to be in games like this one. You look at Providence last night. Okay, if they're going to keep going, you're going to win a game like that. We win at the buzzer. They won at the buzzer. Purdue loses in double overtime. Those things happen. So you have to make sure that you've got experienced guys that give your team a chance. And it was frustrating because we were running set plays that were creating shot opportunities that normally go in, and they didn't go in. So you give, Temple credit, and you give our guys credit.
Roger on the right.
Roger Rubin from Newsday. In terms of what you guys got for the last shot of overtime, was that pretty far away from what you had wanted to get?
We had something different in mind, but what happened down the stretch, you can run any kind of picking action you want. They were switching everything. So when a team starts switching, we always say the X is on the O. Okay, so you have more space to drive the ball than you normally would. So you got to drive the ball. Now, the last thing you want to do is dribble the clock out. So Mike got a shot up. Now, they don't have time, because we took the shot at the right time, they don't have time to run it back down your throat. So we're sending everybody. And, so it worked. You drove it. Yeah, it wasn't what we designed, but Mike made the right play, and Woody made the right play.
We have time for one more, Oni.
Coach, what was going through your mind when you have a senior guard foul somebody on that three-point shot?
Well, I felt bad for him. He wasn't trying to. Obviously, it wasn't the plan. Got to move on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. The Iowa locker room is open for another 15 to 20 minutes. If you have any more questions for the student athletes.